Hello everyone, I'm Matt Mitrich, the Alternate Historian. Sorry if I sound a little weird, I'm kind of getting over a cold, but I didn't want to miss out a chance to talk about my favorite group of cosmic superheroes, the Guardians of the Galaxy.
When I first heard that Marvel was making a movie about the Guardians of the Galaxy, I, like most non-comic readers, had to figure out who the hell they were talking about. Even Marvel fans that I knew called the Guardians pretty obscure, and it seemed like Marvel was scraping the bottom of the barrel because their more lucrative properties were held by other studios. At the time...
I mean, how good could a space opera involving an anthropomorphic raccoon and a talking tree really be?
I still went to see the movie because Marvel had yet to steer me wrong at that point, but my expectations were rather low. Lucky for me, I was pleasantly surprised by what Marvel produced. Guardians of the Galaxy wasn't a perfect film, but it was certainly a fun film. It was the kind of film I could watch over and over again just because of the effort that was put into it. The acting was good, the special effects were awesome, and the Marvel cosmos looked spectacular.
And with the sequel coming out this week, I thought now would be as good a time as any to review an alternate history featuring the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Alternate histories in comics aren't anything new. Time travel, parallel dimensions, and mirror universes have been part of comics lore since the beginning, and the two big comic companies, DC and Marvel, have even published specific imprints for when stories were set in divergent timelines. DC had Elseworlds, and I will cover some of those books in the future, but Marvel had What If, and the first story published under that title was What If Spider-Man had joined the Fantastic Four in 1977. The work we'll be reviewing today is What If Infinity Guardians of the Galaxy, which was published in 2015, a year after the film came out. It's one of 5 one-shots Marvel published to tie into their 2013 event known as Infinity, which saw the Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, and other groups dealing with a combined threat of a universal incursion by the Builders and an attack on Earth by Thanos and his forces. Which brings me to my first major issue with this comic. I only have a vague idea about the story of Infinity. I never read Marvel comics, being more of a DC fan myself when I did read comics, so my knowledge of the Marvel Universe comes primarily through their films. I mean, I could read up on it, but I'm not going to. And no, I don't want you to tell me about it either. You see, it's my theory that the majority of people in the world who know about the Guardians of the Galaxy do so because of the film and not because of the comic. Thus, I'm going to approach this from their perspective. Plus, I don't think I need to do any homework to enjoy a piece of entertainment, especially since this is a one-shot and not technically tied into any ongoing series. So my apologies to any Marvel fans out there, but just as I shouldn't have to read the book to enjoy the film adaptation, I also shouldn't have to read potentially years' worth of comics to understand one single issue.
With that said, our story begins with Rocket Raccoon at a bar recounting the story of how he...
kills the Marvel Universe?
Wow, this went in a surprisingly dark direction.
Nah, they're just messing with us. Turns out a group of Marvel heroes known as the Illuminati have imprisoned Thanos on Earth. The Guardians are pissed when they find this out, so Rocket disguises himself as Iron Man, and with the help of the rest of the Guardians, breaks Thanos out of his cell, so they can kill him, of course. Also, FYI, that guy in the black and gold is Star-Lord. Now, while I didn't expect him to look like Chris Pratt, this does highlight the stark differences between the comic and cinematic universes. Anywho, Thanos is free, and the Guardians are joined by other Marvel heroes who I couldn't even begin to name, and they... cut to Rocket back at the bar saying they won, and Thanos is no more.
Yeah, kind of anticlimactic, really. While it does sort of fit the comedic tone of the story overall, I would have liked to see how the fight played out.
To be fair, the ending does make up for the missed fight scene. We see a hologram of Star-Lord berating Captain America about the humans who hid the location of Thanos. He says humans are too dangerous, and to protect the galaxy, no one is allowed off Earth ever again. It's a brutal condemnation of humanity that reminds me of one of the more depressing explanations to the Fermi paradox. For those who don't know, the Fermi paradox is named after physicist Enrico Fermi, who argued that because of the billions of stars and the high probability of at least a few of those stars supporting an Earth-like planet, humanity shouldn't be the only intelligent species in the galaxy. Even if limited by the speed of light, a sufficiently advanced species should be able to colonize the entire Milky Way galaxy in 5 to 50 million years. This might seem like a long time, but since the universe is 13.8 billion years old, the galaxy should have been colonized several times over by now. Thus, after explaining this train of logic, Fermi asked the question, where is everyone? Humanity should have been contacted by an alien species by now, so why haven't we? Several people have tried to answer this question, and one theory suggests that there is alien life out there, but they deliberately refuse to talk with us. Essentially, aliens looked at us and for whatever reason said, nope, and closed us off from the rest of the cosmos. Now, some argue that an alien civilization may have a benign reason to do this, so humans are allowed to develop sans any outside interference, much like the Prime Directive from Star Trek. The flip side to that theory is that the aliens see us as dangerous or immoral. Thus, they want to keep us locked up to keep the galaxy safe from us, much like Star-Lord did at the end of the comic, or as the alien race in Frederick Pohl's alternate history Waiting for the Olympians did when they discovered the Roman Empire that never fell in that timeline still practiced slavery. On the whole, What If Infinity Guardians of the Galaxy was a fun, short read. Admittedly, I would have liked to know more about some of the characters I was seeing on the pages, but otherwise I got the gist of it, and the bleak ending more than made up for any missed fight scenes. As an alternate story, however, there isn't much to recommend. Any changes made impact only the characters themselves instead of the setting. Even killing off Thanos doesn't seem like a big deal, since characters in comics get killed off all the time and are resurrected later on. Perhaps a more enjoyable story for alternate historians would see the Guardians close off on Earth, where the British Empire, led by Captain Britain, which has conquered the world and is now trying to build an army of mutant redcoats to invade their interstellar neighbors. Instead, we get something that only loyal Marvel readers would enjoy, and while there's nothing wrong with that, it doesn't help sell the story to alternate historians or even a more mainstream audience. I'm personally just going to stick to watching the Marvel films, and I recommend you do the same.
Well, that is what to say on the subject. If you like what I do, please comment, subscribe, share this video, support me on Patreon. I'm Matt Mitrich, the Alternate Historian. Bye.